Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's regular meeting of Walpole Select Board. As we always do, let's stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome back. Time to dive into a whole new calendar year. And we will do so with our first appointment tonight, which is Renee Tosi, our Recreation Director, going to talk to us about Walpole Day. So, Renee, if you could come up to the microphone, give us a little briefing.
Thank you. So I'm super excited for this event. Last year, I was hired right after, which I was super excited that it was after. I didn't want to jump right into it, but this year it's May 10th. It is rain or shine. The parade is at 11. The setup at the high school will start at 10 a.m. And then it's out on Stonefield, Blackburn, Town Hall parking lot area out there. The Kids Zone will have inflatables like always and a trackless train. Then there's a food court, there's over 100 vendors, and there'll be live music. So it'll be a lot of fun.
Sounds great. As always, it's a wonderful event.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, thank you for filling us in on that. Any questions or comments for Renee? Okay, Mark?
I'll make a motion to approve the request of the Recreation Director to hold Walpole Day event and parade on Saturday, May 10th, 2025.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
5-0. Thank you, Renee.
Thank you so
Appreciate
much.
it. Okay, moving right along, we've got a couple of public hearings on grants of location for polls. So could I have a motion to open the public hearing?
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
5-0. We're now in a public hearing. Carl, welcome.
Thank you. Good evening to the chair, members, Jim Aoife, Carl Baldoff, Town Engineer. Eversource has submitted petitions for conduit locations on South Street, one near Lamplighter Lane and the other near the intersection of Oak and South. They are for installing underground conduits for their electric services. They're not related to any specific project. They're just for general improvements to their system. We've looked at it and we find it timely, actually. I gave you a couple of memos, and in one of them, one for each location, and in one I noted that we're going to pave South Street in next year's paving program. So to have them request these and get them in the ground before our paving is really a bonus. So I'm recommending that you vote to approve both of them.
Great, thank you, Carl. Any questions for Carl? Jim, anything to add?
Nope, just keep up the good work.
We are in a public hearing. Is there anyone here from the public who would like to speak? Being none, could I have a motion to close the public
I'll
hearing?
make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
5-0.
I'll make a motion to approve the request of NSTAR Electric Company for a grant of location to install approximately 98 feet of conduit on South Street, northeasterly, opposite Oak Street.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
5-0. We have to do a
I
second
think
public
actually
hearing,
we might
or?
be okay with just opening and closing the one and then just making the two motions should be fine.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll make a motion to approve the request of NSTAR Electric for a grant of location to install approximately 90 feet of conduit on South Street, northeasterly of Lamplighter Lane.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
5-0. Okay,
Thank you.
Carl, anything else? That's it, right? That's it. Good. Thanks
Carl.
very much. Appreciate you
you.
being here. All right, moving right along, we have a promotion tonight in the Walpole Police Department. Detective Kyle Griffin to the position of Sergeant. Chief Kelleher, would you come up? Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for having us. Just real quick before we introduce Detective Griffin, yesterday we had a retirement. Sergeant O'Connell retired after 36 years of service with the town and with the MBTA Police Department. He was a tremendous asset to the department, did a lot. He was a detective for a long time, investigated a number of high-profile cases, and returned to the Patrol Division, where he was a supervisor and oversaw our FTO unit, and did a tremendous job, and he'll be definitely missed and some big shoes to fill for sure. So I wanted to take a minute to thank him for his service and for all he did for us. And then we'll move right along and introduce Detective Griffin, who will be his stepping in that role now. So Kyle's a 13-year member of our department. He holds a bachelor's of science degree in criminal justice, and he's working towards his master's right now. He served with the patrol division from 2011 when he joined our department until 2017, where he went into the detective division, where he's worked ever since. He's worked in a wide variety of cases, from complex fraud and larceny cases to very high-profile cases. He's also involved in an incident to a very serious assault that involved a shooting several years back. So he's really a well-seasoned investigator and has a tremendous amount of experience. Last year, he became a task force officer with the U.S. Secret Service, which was allowed him to work with that unit and also bring some much-needed resources back to our department to help us investigate fraud cases and things that involved U.S. currency and fraudulent activity in that regard. So throughout the interview process, it was clear to me that Kyle's ready for promotion. He's a well-seasoned detective. He understands leadership. He has the respect of not only his peers, but also members of our administration, and I think he's going to do a tremendous job. So with that, I present to you, Kyle.
Hey, Kyle, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You want to just say a few words about
absolutely.
yourself, your family, your background?
First and foremost, thank you to Chief Kelleher and the rest of the administration for the opportunity. Greatly appreciative. Also, thank you to my family and extended family for being here tonight and all your support over the years. Yeah, as Chief Kelleher said, I've been a detective for the past 7 years, so back to patrol is going to be a big change, but I'm excited for the opportunity. I'm ready to take that next step and ready to continue to make Walpole Police Department a great place to work. So.
Well, I think it's great, and we've been always impressed with the work of the detective unit here in Walpole. We get briefed from time to time, and it's very impressive what you guys do. So thank you for all that great work. And again, congratulations to being able to take the next step in your career here in town. It's also very nice to see this big turnout of your peers.
Yeah,
and,
thank you to everybody for
it's
the
wonderful
support
support and
too.
great
Sorry.
to see. So, yeah. So, any questions or comments from the board?
No, congratulations. Glad to
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Okay, then I'll entertain a motion, please.
I'll make a motion to promote Detective Kyle Griffin to the position of sergeant.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
5-0-0. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Do you want to take any pictures of them up in front here? You guys want to just jump up and take a couple of pictures?
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Congratulations again.
So you can stay for the rest of the meeting, but you don't have to.
There's a
okay?
lot more.
Yeah.
We're talking about the whole budget tonight, so.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night. Congratulations. Thank you, Chief.
Good job, guys.
Impressive. Awesome haircut.
May have stolen the show.
Okay, we're running a little bit ahead, so I'm going to move us to new business, and our first order of new business is an amended Veterans Agent Intermunicipal Agreement with the Town of Bedfield and the Town of Sherborne. So we have Ian Rogers here tonight to talk to us about that. Ian, do you want to come up and just run us through this a little bit? Thank you for being here. Welcome.
Oh, thank you for having me. I was approached, I'll give you the Reader's Digest version. I was approached in October from Sherborne. They were coming from a stipend position as the VSO, and they're looking to enhance the benefits and just the overall treatment of the veterans in their community. So They approached us about adding Sherburne onto our district. We've talked to them at length about logistics and what that would look like financially, and we believe it'll be a good fit for everybody. And with this, I believe there'll be an addition to an admin assistant or a principal clerk. So I believe that will actually allow me to get out and outreach to more of the veterans in the communities. That's been my major goal with taking this job on, is I want to reach out, not just the seniors that I see every day. I want to reach the 30-year-old veterans, the 40-year-old veterans, the 50-year-old veterans, and finding ways to do that in the community and having the time to do that, establish programs. And I think this, the district growing a little bit will only help me be able to do that a little bit better.
Great. Well, thank you, Ian. I appreciate that. I would just also like to comment that you're doing an absolutely terrific job as our Director of Veteran Services. And the very fact that we're able to enter into this broadened intermunicipal agreement speaks to that and the great work that you have done since you've taken on the role. So
Thank you
just
so
wanted
much.
to thank you for everything you're doing for our vets.
Thank you.
Any questions or comments for Ian?
I was just, yeah.
Go ahead.
Glenn.
Just a quick question. I'll second my thanks. Where do you spend most of your time? I know in Walpole probably you spend most of your time, but do you have an office in Medfield as well?
I do. I
clarify
do, give or take, 3 days in Walpole and then 2 days in Medfield. We did talk to Sherburne about what they would require as far as time in office. I believe currently they don't even have a VSO office.
Sure.
So I believe I've talked with them and they've agreed to, if I just have my information readily available, and I'll just, anybody who calls me from Sherburne, if they say, can you meet Monday at this time? Tuesday, like I'll make it work
Yeah.
depending on what is needed for Sherburne.
I'm sure you will. I just wanted to ask.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be an assigned office in Sherburne, not yet anyway.
Okay, makes sense. Thanks. Sorry, Ellie. Anyone
I was
else?
just going to say congratulations, repeat that you're just doing great work. I'm excited for the veterans in the area. I'm excited for you because I know it's a passion of yours to outreach and kind of continue these benefits and programs and things like that. So I think it's a great thing.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
I had a question for the town administrator. And this is probably an easy answer, but I noticed that medical benefits is not included as part of the division of cost. Is that part of OPEB instead, or is there a reason?
He doesn't take it.
Oh, okay. Oh, I understand.
If it comes up, we'll cover it.
I understand. Okay, thanks.
I just have a few things to say, too. So obviously, Ian's been doing a great job. It works really well with my office, Patrick, myself, Eva. Kerry loves him over there in the Council on Aging. Medfield, the town administrator over there, Christine, has nothing but great things to say, too. I was really pleased when it was Jeremy, their town administrator in Sherborne, reached out. He was really impressed with the meeting he had with Patrick and Ian. Both towns are fully on board with this. It's on their next select board's agenda to sign the intermunicipal agreement. So more or less, this is just modifying the agreement that we have with the town of Medfield. I think we've had it for probably close to maybe 8-9 years now, so it's worked out pretty well. And all the communities are going to be well served. We'll be able to add that clerk position, which is something the Veterans Committee was hoping to do within the last year or so. So it accomplishes a lot of goals and allows us better outreach to our veterans. So
It's really good. And again, a credit to the work you've been doing, Ian. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Could I have a motion, please?
Sure, I'll make a motion to sign the amended Veterans Agent intermunicipal agreement with the town of Medfield and the town of Sherborne.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
500. Ian, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in. Good night. It is now 7:15. Anyone here for open forum? It doesn't look like there is, so we'll continue to move on. So our next item is a kind of a happy item, which is the 300th Anniversary Committee, and it's, believe it or not, time to wind that work down. It was probably 3 or 4 years ago that we started this conversation about the 300th anniversary. Teddy Hagler reached out to us and started to nudge us back several years ago and suggested we start putting some money away so that we could do a really good job on the 300th anniversary. And so we started doing that. Eventually we created the committee, and the committee has just done amazing, amazing work. If you think back to the laser light show over a year ago, and all the way through to, we just did the time capsule at the new middle school just a few weeks ago, and everything in between. All of the events were just amazing. I get a tremendous amount of feedback from people both in town and from out of town over particularly the parade, which just went so, so beautifully. But everything went well. The senior gala, the black tie event, the fireworks, the parades, and things I'm forgetting about. It was just a really, really, really great year, and we owe a debt of gratitude to the 300th Committee for all the work that they did. So tonight, what we want to do is two things. One, we're going to move to wind down the role of the committee so those folks can get back to their normal lives. And I'd also like to talk about how we recognize that committee. And what I'd like to suggest is, I know we've put together some language for letters to go out to each one of the individual members, so I think we should do that. I'd also like to reserve a time, maybe sometime in February, time that works for everybody. That's a big committee, so when it works for everybody, have them come in and have us formally recognize them and thank them. It was really, really great work, and it's kind of, it's almost hard to believe that all these years have gone by and we've come and gone with the 300th. It was a great year. So that's what we're here to talk about. So any discussion?
I would just say I agree with you. I thought it was a really good year for Walpole with all the different events and the signs around town. So it was really great. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was terrific.
I agree.
Anybody else? Okay, so I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to formally conclude the work of the 300th Anniversary Committee and authorize the chair to sign and send a letter of appreciation to each member, thanking them for their dedicated service and contributions to this milestone celebration.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. 500. And Jim, if we could just try to get them to come in, no big rush, but sometime in February, maybe when it's convenient for everyone.
Sure, I'll work through Katie and
That would be
Bill
just
and,
awesome.
coordinate something.
And once again, our thanks. Job really, really well done. Okay, on to our next item of discussion, which is the FY26 budget. So Jim, you want to tee this one up for
Sure,
us?
so I have a balanced budget, a draft form of it. I've met with a few of you over the last few weeks during Christmas and New Year's weeks, solicited some feedback, asked for your input, and the feedback I received from the ones I've met with was, can we get the schools a little bit further? Right now I have them at about 3.1% increase, which is just around 1.7 million in additional funds compared to this FY25 budget. So it's been a challenging budget cycle. Obviously, the revenues are not, they are there, but they're not as far ahead as they have been the last few years, more or less because our new growth has slowed down a little bit. Our health insurance, we're expecting right now, I'm budgeting about a 11% or so increase. I'm hoping that is less, but that will be the highest increase, I think, since I've taken over as the town administrator since 2014. So there's some driving factors there. Obviously, we have the new school coming on with Tri-County. That cost has gone up from about 130 and change to mid-700s. Those are some of the major driving factors there. Obviously, our trash contract, moderate increase, nothing crazy. So that's more or less where I am. So I've looked at, where could I look at other ways of looking at revenue and, as far as motor vehicle excise tax, licenses and permits, that's up a little bit. But the area I really turned my attention to was state aid. Right now I have it level funded at state aid, but if the board is looking for me to push a little bit to get the schools to, an additional 200 or so thousand, I'd recommend looking there, focusing in on that. Maybe I could push another 50 or so into motor vehicle excise. I'm just very much mindful of our AAA bond rating that we recently received. And one of the major factors that the bond rating agency looks at is not only our financial metrics, our policy compliance, our free cash, our reserves, our overall fiscal discipline. It's how much do you over budget in those local receipt lines? And I don't want to be in a position where we over budget. The last few years we've been really great in licenses and permits, but after speaking to the building commissioner the last couple of days, we're about where we budgeted, maybe 100,000 or 200,000 under what we budgeted for the whole fiscal year just to date, but he sees it slowing down. And projects like the Gilmore's project, the 2 hotels, Renmar Road, we don't expect those to come on until later on in '25. I know for a fact the Gilmore's project's not supposed to start until August, September, in late '25. So I'm just mindful of those factors going into this. So with that, on the town side, we're not looking to add any personnel. In fact, we're reducing a lot of the expense budget requests. The police and fire did ask for additional positions. I'm not in a position to fund them. In fact, I was forced to reduce the arborist position in the DPW, which accounted for about $70,000. That position's been vacant for about a year to 18 months, so we've been getting by without it, and fortunately, that's the only position I've had to eliminate on the town side. And it's just a position, not a person in the position, so I don't have to worry about unemployment. So, bottom line, it's balanced, but it's in an ideal world, I'd love to be coming in here and telling you I have 12 or 13 firefighters on every shift. The Walpole Police Department has 53 or 4 people here, but that's not the case. And I'm optimistic that in the next few years, as I mentioned in the budget message last year, we'll get there. But it's just going to take time. Some of these projects have been slower to come on than we've anticipated. I think that the driving factor, a lot of it has to do with inflation and interest rates. So, any questions? I'll take any feedback.
So I'll start. So going back to the meetings we had with the fire chief, the police chief, and the DPW director some weeks ago, that was a very valuable set of meetings. And what we heard from them was, advocacy for more police, more fire, more ability to manage the town on the DPW side. There is a pressing need, obviously, for those things. We believe we're understaffed in police and fire. We're a growing town, and the complexity of the buildings that are being built nowadays, and some of the changes with electrical vehicles and all that kind of stuff, the nature of the business is shifting quite a bit. In addition, we've got the EMS side of the equation on the fire with the Norwood Hospital out of commission and all the things that we talk about here all the time. So many, many, many challenges in police, fire, and DPW. That said, it's a lean year. And so I support the way you've come at it, which is to say we're not going to add new positions. It is important that the police chief and the fire chief continue to advocate for those new positions and continue to remind us that we are understaffed given the size of the town and the growth of the town. And it's important that we continue to stay focused on this over the years as the years go forward. This year is not going to be that year, to your point. And so I support where you're coming from on that, Jim, and I think it makes a whole lot of sense. All that said, I also would like to see us challenge the revenue side of the equation a little bit, as you have pointed out. The school budget is really stressed at this point, and I think we need to do something to improve the overall school budget situation. And I think some of the recommendations you come up with around the state aid, some of the ways you've handled a couple of capital items, and some of the other things that you've adjusted, I think are helpful in that regard. I also think that we could be looking ahead to the second half of the year, see how things come in as we get through the middle of the year, and at the fall town meeting, we could perhaps do a little bit more. I saw the S&P questionnaire that your finance team, and I see Jody in the back of the room, completed the other day as we're getting ready to go out for another bond issuance. And it is a reminder that we've gotten our AAA bond rating and we didn't get there easily. And that questionnaire reinforces the type of budgeting and financial management process that we've been following in town for many years at this point. And it is important that we continue to maintain that AAA bond rating. The answers in that survey really drove that home. By the way, it was extremely well written, and I don't know if we've heard back from them yet, but probably not, but we will be hearing from them. But it was really well written, and again, reinforced to me the need for us to continue to do what we're doing. But I do think we need to push the revenue side a bit. I think we need to get the school side raised up. And so I support the suggestions that you've made. And with that, I'll turn it over to the rest of the board for their comments. Other comments? Mark?
Yeah, I agree with what you said, so I won't repeat it. And I did want to thank Jim and the finance team. I think you've done a good job in a tight budget year. And I especially like Jim's comment about let's take a look at, the midpoint of next year and see. And I know we did that last year, so I know the school's budget started off smaller last year, and then we were able to bump it up once we got to really see what the revenues look like for real, not just our estimates of the revenue. So I think that'll be important to do again. So I just think you're doing a great job, and your team's doing a great job. And I think we're going to be in for a couple of tough years. We know there's new development that's going to happen. So at some point, we'll see the revenue pick up. But as Jim said, it's not going to be this year. So.
Thanks, Mark. Ben?
Yeah, I just wanted to highlight one piece that Mark touched on there was that in these meetings when we were preparing for the fiscal year 25 budget, a year and a half ago, we had talked about fiscal year 26 being a challenge, and it's something that we knew would be coming, possibly fiscal year 27 as well. And so it's not a surprise that the revenue is down and, costs are up, and it's just something we'll have to continue dealing with. So I agree, it's a great job by the finance team and Jim to get this put together this way.
The only other thing I would say is I think in January we're going to be getting together with the school committee and finance committee, which we do periodically to just keep an eye on the budget trends, what's happening. So I just want people to know that this is not a one and done. This is an ongoing process that continues to happen over the course of the year.
Yeah, that's a great point, and there's certainly a lot more work to be done, and the Finance Committee has the heavy lift there, so that'll be happening over the next several months. You also reminded me that we will be having our legislative delegation breakfast in February at some point. I think Nancy Gallivan is setting that up now. And at that meeting, we will be pressing our state reps and senator for continued aid from the state. And especially some discussion around the recently enacted millionaire's tax and how that's being allocated toward education and how that might be able to help us on the school side. So we're going to continue to press on the legislative side of the House as hard as we can as well. Anyone else?
I would just add the other thing that we're really going to talk to them about is the whole prison situation. So the prison has closed, but we don't really know what's going to happen to that. And we really need a seat at the table to help be a part of that discussion. It could end up being a great thing for Walpole, depending on what they do with it, or a really bad thing for Walpole. So we want to be part of that discussion. So
Yeah, agreed. Other comments, Sally?
To repeat, kind of great job on this. I mean, we knew this was going to be a tough one. I mean, to be this early on with a balanced budget, I think it's always disappointing when we can't add positions to police and fire. We've all been advocating and listening to our chiefs with that need, but hopefully in the next few years we'll continue to grow those departments as well.
Great, okay. Jim, is there anything else you need from us?
No, I think I wanted some feedback. I wanted to get a sense if the board was comfortable in the direction as far as the areas of revenue I was looking to push it. I just looked up on my phone. I did get a notice today that halfway through the fiscal year and state aid projections have gone from -8% to 0.08% to almost 1% ahead of projections. So they're seeming like they're on track a little bit, which is good, but things could change.
Yeah, you never know.
I'll work through this, and I'm sure we're going to have those meetings. I'm working on the budget message now. I probably met with Bridget and Mike a few times to talk about these numbers. I know they're preparing with the school committee. They're deliberating. I don't think they're anywhere near having their budget done. I know they're still working through it with the committee, but on our end, they have the numbers. They know where we're at, so we're on the same page at least.
Good, okay. Okay. All right, continuing under new business, we have discussion of possible package store license article for the spring 2025 warrant. So the background on this is back in November, Jim, you had sent the board a note asking if we wanted to pursue additional licenses, liquor licenses in the downtown. And the thinking was economic development. We've got a lot of growth in the downtown and probably will see continued growth in the downtown. So does it make sense for us to be positioning ourselves with some additional liquor licenses so that we can continue to the economic growth in the downtown area? We don't have any available right now. All that we have been issued from the state have been applied for and granted. And so you sent out that note. I don't think we really did much with it when you sent that out. Recently, somebody asked me about this, and so I said to Jim, thinking back to the note you sent in November, do we still want to have some discussion around that? So that's why I asked to put it on the agenda, so that we could, as a board, talk about, number one, do we think that this is something we would want to pursue, meaning additional all alcoholic beverage licenses, and these are for liquor stores, not to be consumed on prem. If so, how many, and do we want to support a town meeting warrant article to that effect, given the town meeting warrant will be closing shortly? So my own view on it is, I don't think it would be a bad idea to have a couple more of them. We don't have any liquor stores in the direct downtown. We have some on either side, just outside of the downtown. And it would seem to me, given the open storefronts and things like that, this might be something we should consider. Much like what we did in East Walpole when we designated a liquor license there to a certain part of East Walpole, the same thing would happen here. We would designate it to the CBD and therefore make sure that the liquor license actually landed within the downtown area. So my own thinking is that would be a pretty good idea, and that we should put an article on the warrant, but I want to hear the rest of the board's views. So other thoughts?
So,
Yeah.
go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, so what, the other type of alcohol, or the other type of alcoholic license that you were talking about is for the restaurants. And how many of those do we have now that are currently?
Available?
Yeah.
Even I had to count them up yesterday.
That's why I
Came up
asked
with
you.
14, right?
Yeah, you were.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's 2 as part of our quota for all alcohol, 4 wine and beer as part of the quota, and then we have several special legislation licenses
Yeah.
for downtown, Route 1,
Yeah.
555 Providence Highway,
Yeah.
and then we have 2 special legislations for anywhere in town, all alcohol. Did we have 17
I
in
thought
total?
it was 14 or 17. So 2 all alcohol, 4 beer and wine, 1 beer, 1 wine for 55 Providence, 2 alcohol in the CBD, 2 alcohol in Route 1, and 2 alcohol anywhere. Yeah, so I think we added up, that was about 14. So those are vacant, those are available.
Those are all available, and
Yeah.
that's all on premise.
Yes.
On premise.
Okay. All right. That's great. I think those, honestly, for me, those are the more important ones. I mean, I think that we can always use more restaurants, more dining establishments in Walpole. I'd much rather that than another liquor store. I think, Jim, you make a good point that the majority of them are on Route 1. And then there's East Walpole, a couple up near the Rockies Plaza towards North Walpole, nothing in the CBD. I think it makes sense to get maybe 2 more and specify them for that area where there are none. I like that idea, given that there are so many already. I'm not really keen on adding a bunch more and having this kind of be a glut of liquor stores in town, because I don't necessarily think it's something we need. Based upon the distribution now, there's plenty of access for folks to have it. But I think it makes sense to go for 2 and keep the location restricted.
Thanks, Ben.
Yep.
Other thoughts?
I would agree. I mean, there was a liquor store previously downtown for a number of years, so I think having that and going after a new license and having designated for that area, I think would be something that would work well.
I'll put my 2 cents in. I'm not super excited about adding more package stores in Walpole. I think having a dozen licenses, they're all scooped up, and that's okay. I've never driven through a town, whether it's Medway or Norwood, and said, "Oh, look at all the liquor stores and the beer and wine stores." I mean, it's nice, it's convenient if you're driving by one and you want to stop in. Great, I do it all the time. But I don't necessarily go to a community for that reason. I don't see the economic development piece there. I do, of course, in the restaurants. That's great for the meals tax for Walpole. It's great for drawing people to town, for lively community. A package store usually employs 1 or 2 people. So I don't know that I see a huge economic development. I'm not saying we should have none. I think we have a dozen, and that seems to fit the sizes of our town. I think if we were growing, as you say, then I would be open to that. I don't know that we're growing by leaps and bounds, but of course we're always growing. We're not getting smaller, so that's good. So this is something to keep on our radar. This is my perspective, but I'm not necessarily jumping at the bit to add to.
Okay.
I think it'd be good to have a couple more, especially in the downtown area with the new apartment buildings going in. You know, we're trying to encourage people who are living in the apartments to come into the downtown to eat, hang out, and, you know, do things. So I think being able to shop for liquor while you happen to be downtown and walk back over would be a good thing. So I think that's a good thing. I am glad that we have a bunch of restaurant liquor licenses available. You know, I know the last, COVID was really hard on a lot of the restaurants. And it'd be great to see some new development in those areas as well, so.
Follow-up question. Have we reached out to the EDC, the Economic Development Commission, to get their feedback? Because I know they've had an opinion on on-premise consumption. I think they're in favor of it, but I don't know that we've ever asked them how they feel about these package store licenses. So I'd be interested to hear their
Fair
feedback.
point. Yeah, no, we could certainly do that. So why don't we take that as a follow-up? If we were to decide to support this and therefore sponsor an article for the Springtown meeting, when would we have to do that by, Jim?
So we went ahead and drafted the article here, and I kind of left it vague enough, or Aoife did, she wrote it. We left it open to towns Route 1 or / highway business corridor. So the sense I'm getting from the board is you'd rather in the central business district down in the downtown, no more than 2. I could write a note to the economic development folks. You know, board's considering this. Here's the drafted article. What's your thoughts? So then the board can, take it up in 2 weeks.
When are we closing the warrant?
2 weeks from tonight. Yeah.
So we still got time.
And we could put it in as a draft and.
Yeah, okay,
just
that's true.
hold it,
Yeah, okay. All
Before
right.
you sign it. So.
Good.
And it'd be good to get feedback from them, do they think there's a need on Route 1, or is there anywhere that they know something is going to be developed where this would help them in some way, so.
Yeah, fair point. Okay, so I think what I'm hearing is that there is general support for a couple of new all alcoholic liquor licenses specified to the CBD. Mark, you make a good point that we should ask the Economic Development Committee about Route 1 as well, although there's frankly quite a lot of them out there already. And Glenn, you make a good point that we should ask the EDC about their view of the, how this fits in with economic development, activity in the downtown. So it sounds like we've got a couple of weeks to sort those things out. So what I'm going to recommend is we bring it back around for a vote in 2 weeks. And in the meantime, go and follow up on those couple of items, and we'll take it from there.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Yep. Okay,
We'll
good.
have it on there.
Good discussion. All right, let's go on to the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda items as listed on the tonight's agenda.
Second?
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
5-0.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of December 3rd and 17th, 2024.
Second?
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. 5-0. And on to the town administrator's reports. Jim?
Sure, relatively quick one. Last few weeks have been spent working on the budget, as I previously mentioned. We'll take the edits tonight with the board had and the feedback and work that in there. So I've been working with the department heads to kind of go over things, basically told them, can you live within this budget? A couple of them come back and said, what if I did move this personnel line to this expense line? So I'm going to finalize that within the next week or two and go from there. And as I mentioned, we're working through the warrant. Currently, we have 17 articles on the warrant, which is, moderate or fine for a Springtown meeting. And we'll go from there. The FinCom, I'm going to reach out to Denny, start to finalize their schedule and everything, and make sure work with the school committee on the legislative breakfast. So more to come on that, but it's starting to be budget season, so we'll get busy pretty soon. And that's really about it.
Okay, any questions for Jim? Couple of things from me. I want to make sure that we are moving forward with I forget what we called it, but the Prison Advisory Committee. I know we were going to be doing some prep work for that meeting at your suggestion that we wanted to bring forward for the first meeting. So sort of the history and background of the site and the meetings that have transpired over the last couple of years and so forth. So I want to make sure we've got that all ready to go. But I would like to get that calendared sometime in the pretty near future. just because I've been keeping particularly Rep. Rogers and Mike Rush apprised of where we are. And I have told them that sometime in the early part of the year, we're going to have a meeting, probably not including them, and then after that, bring them in. But
So
I wanted
that's
to have
one of two like running things I keep on my to-do list. The
Okay.
other one's the dam.
There you go, that was going to be my
and,
number two. Yep.
I reached out prior to, back in November, or early December, asked department heads a variety of questions, and for the most part, I think I've gotten them all to get back to me. My plan was to kind of, both of these issues, the prison and the dam, compile it all into one document and kind of Q&A, where do we stand with this? How will this impact for the dam? How will this impact conservation? What could it impact on potential development that's pending? So it's been on there. It's just about ready to go for both of these issues. So I was going to send that off to the board and say, what do you want to do with these two? Here's kind of the feedback we received. Here's where we stand with the prison as far as everything. And I figured we'd get going on that
Okay.
this month, February.
Yeah, no, that sounds fine. I was kind of thinking if we could have that prison meeting before we get to the legislative breakfast, that we could then say something about what transpired in that meeting.
Sure.
So, but if that doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, but if we could do that, that'd be great.
Okay.
Okay? Okay, that's it for me. Anybody else? Anything for Jim? Yeah, Ben?
One quick one. Talking about spring town meeting and the 17 articles, are the zoning steering committee's articles there on track for that? And
So we have them as placeholders on the
Yep.
17 articles, but the planning board is taking them up next week. Did you say?
16th.
Yeah, they're gonna talk, the chair has agreed to put it on his agenda for discussion. So,
Okay.
yeah, I'm optimistic that maybe they'll sponsor them, the select board won't have to, so.
Sure.
Good. That'd be great.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Could I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. 5-0. We're now adjourned. Good night, everyone. Thank you.